When a leader speaks a truth with clarity and conviction, it often shakes the ground beneath those who hear it, because words have the power to awaken something deep inside the human mind. Imagine for a moment when a statement is delivered that challenges the way people have thought for decades. It disrupts patterns, it breaks illusions, and it stirs a kind of energy that cannot be ignored. That is why people are stunned, because they are not just hearing words, they are hearing a vibration of certainty, a frequency of belief that hits directly at the core of their understanding. Most individuals go through life speaking in hesitation, saying what they think others want to hear, hiding their true thoughts under layers of fear, doubt, and approval seeking. But when someone stands boldly and says what they truly believe, the world takes notice. The reason it shocks people is not because it is foreign or impossible to grasp, but because it reminds them of the strength they too possess but rarely use. Think about your own life and how many times you have swallowed your truth, stayed silent when you wanted to speak, or played small when you had the chance to rise higher. Every time you do that, you weaken your own belief in yourself. Yet, when you witness someone else speak without fear, it lights a spark in you, showing you what is possible if you too decide to break the chains of hesitation. This is what powerful words do. They bypass the logical mind and go straight to the heart, igniting a flame of awareness that cannot be extinguished. You start questioning your own limitations. You start realizing that if someone can stand against pressure, criticism, or disbelief and still speak with courage, then you too can stop living as a prisoner of your own negative feelings. The truth is that people are not stunned because of what is said. They are stunned because of how it is said. Conviction carries a magnetic force. It makes people lean in. It makes them reconsider everything they thought was fixed and unchangeable. When you hear someone deliver a message with such strength, it reminds you that you have the same ability to influence your own destiny with the words you speak to yourself. Most people underestimate the language of self-talk. They do not realize that every sentence they whisper to themselves about failure, fear, or doubt is planting seeds into their subconscious mind. Those seeds grow into reality over time. So when you hear someone boldly speak possibility, confidence, and vision, it jars your subconscious awake and shakes the dust off your own buried potential. What shocks the world is not just that a statement is made, but that it is made at a time when people least expect it. There is a power in timing. When you stand in the middle of negativity and you dare to speak faith, when you are surrounded by doubt and you declare confidence, when the world says you cannot and you calmly insist you can, you become unforgettable. You are not just saying words, you are rewriting the script of what is possible. The shock is the mind realizing that the old patterns of thinking are no longer strong enough to hold the truth back. That is the real power. Words shape nations, build companies, and transform lives. They are not just sounds, they are commands to the mind. When someone like Jaishankar says something that makes Americans pause and question, it is because the energy of truth cannot be ignored, even across borders and cultures. And if one statement can cause such a reaction on a global scale, think about what your statements can do on the scale of your own life. Every day, you are faced with the choice to speak life into your dreams or death into your possibilities. You can either repeat the same words of complaint, anger, and self-pity, or you can rise up and speak words of strength, vision, and victory. The shock you feel when someone else does It is only a reminder that you are capable of doing the same. People are not held back by circumstances nearly as much as they are held back by the words they use to describe their circumstances. Change the words, and the picture of your life begins to change. Speak possibility when your mind wants to focus on limitation. Speak abundance when you are tempted to dwell on lack. Speak courage when fear tries to creep in. This is what shakes people, because most are not used to hearing such certainty. It is not the volume of the words, it is the energy behind them. It is the alignment of thought, feeling, and expression into one unified vibration that moves mountains and dismantles disbelief. When you see the world shocked by the courage of another, take it as a mirror. Recognize that you too have the power to shock your own life, your own environment, your own future with the words you choose to believe and to speak. The world reacts because truth carries a force that no border, no culture, no disbelief can silence. And that same force lives inside you, waiting for the moment you decide to step beyond fear and speak with conviction, waiting for the moment you realize that your words are the very tools that will carve the destiny you are meant to live. Negative emotions are among the most misunderstood forces in human life. Most people spend their days trying to avoid them, suppress them, or run from them, never realizing that those very feelings are signals, not enemies. Fear, doubt, anger, jealousy, frustration, these are not curses sent to weaken you. They are messages pointing toward growth. When you feel afraid, it is not life telling you to retreat. It is life asking you to step into something bigger than you have ever done before. When you feel doubt, it is not proof that you are unworthy. It is simply your mind wrestling with the unfamiliar. Every negative feeling is evidence that you are standing at the edge of your comfort zone. And if you learn how to channel that energy, you will discover that what once held you back can become the very power that propels you forward. Think about electricity. The same current that can destroy a machine if misdirected can also light an entire city when properly channeled. Negative emotions are like raw electricity. If you resist them or misuse them, they shock you, drain you, and make you weak. But if you understand how to direct their force, they can fuel your actions with a kind of intensity that positive feelings alone can never generate. Anger, when transformed, becomes determination. Fear, when reframed, becomes heightened awareness and focus. Doubt, when challenged, becomes deeper faith and unshakable confidence. The problem is not the existence of negative feelings. It is the lack of understanding about what to do with them. From childhood, you were taught that to feel sad, afraid, or angry was a sign of weakness. So you learned to hide those feelings, bury them, and put on a mask of strength. But buried feelings do not disappear. They fester inside, shaping your beliefs and quietly controlling your actions. That is why so many people feel stuck, repeating the same cycles year after year. They are not trapped by circumstances, they are trapped by unprocessed emotions. The path to freedom is not to deny those emotions, but to face them, listen to them, and then redirect them toward your growth. Consider the story of anyone who has achieved greatness. Almost every one of them faced rejection, failure, ridicule, and pain. What separated them from the rest was not that they never felt negative emotions, but that they chose to use those emotions as fuel. They felt the sting of rejection, but instead of letting it break them, they turned it into resolve. They experienced fear before big decisions, but instead of allowing it to paralyze them, they used it to sharpen their vision and prepare more thoroughly. The very emotions that destroy some people are the ones that build legends when properly understood. You cannot stop negative emotions from arising. They are part of being human, but you can stop them from controlling you. The key is awareness. When a negative feeling rises, pause and ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to tell me? Anger might be showing you that something in your life is out of alignment with your values. Fear might be pointing you toward an opportunity for growth. Doubt might be highlighting the need for preparation or self-belief. The moment you begin to see emotions as signals rather than enemies, you step into power. You are no longer a victim of your feelings, you become the master who directs them. There is a hidden energy in every struggle you face. Negative emotions are often the doorway to breakthroughs, but most people never walk through the door because they are too busy fighting against the feelings themselves. If you could take the energy you spend resisting your emotions and instead use it to build momentum, your life would transform. That surge of frustration you feel when things go wrong could be the very push you need to create a new solution. That sinking feeling of doubt could be the spark that drives you to practice harder, learn deeper, and believe stronger. Nothing in your emotional world is wasted if you are willing to see it differently. The truth is, feelings are neutral until you assign them meaning. Fear by itself is just energy in the body. Anger is just intensity flowing through your system. It is your interpretation that makes them destructive or constructive. Change the meaning and you change the outcome. Instead of saying, I am afraid, so I cannot, begin saying, I am afraid, so this must matter. Instead of saying, I am angry, so I am weak, begin saying, I am angry, so I will channel this passion into action. That shift in perspective is what separates those who crumble under life from those who rise above it. Every great transformation in history was born in the furnace of negative emotions. Revolutions, inventions, breakthroughs in art, science, and leadership. These were not created out of comfort, but out of dissatisfaction, frustration, and the refusal to settle. Negative feelings have always been the seedbed of change. What makes people uncomfortable is what forces them to grow. What makes them restless is what drives them to move. What shocks them with pain is what pushes them to discover a higher version of themselves. So the next time you feel weighed down by fear, anger, or doubt, remember that you are holding raw power in your hands. You can waste it by complaining, suppressing, or giving in, or you can channel it into courage, vision, and bold action. The feelings that seem like barriers are in fact bridges. They are not here to stop you. They are here to guide you into the version of yourself that has been waiting all along. Choice is the greatest power you will ever hold in your hands. Yet most people go through life unaware of its magnitude. They believe destiny is written in the stars, predetermined by circumstance, or dictated by luck, when in truth destiny is nothing more than the accumulation of choices made moment by moment. Every decision you make, no matter how small, is carving the direction of your future. From the instant you open your eyes in the morning, you are presented with choices: to rise with energy or stay in bed with excuses, to feed your mind with possibility or fill it with doubt, to step forward in courage or to remain stuck in fear. The compound effect of these choices shapes the path of your life. If you want to change your destiny, you do not need to wait for a miracle or for the world to rearrange itself. You only need to make different choices today than the ones you made yesterday. What makes choice so powerful is that it transcends circumstance. Two people can be born in the same conditions, face the same struggles, and yet end up in completely different places because of the decisions they made along the way. One chooses to see limitation, the other chooses to see opportunity. One chooses to surrender to fear, the other chooses to rise above it. One chooses comfort, the other chooses growth. The difference is not in fate, but in the daily exercise of choice. When you accept this truth, you realize that nothing is holding you back except the decisions you continue to repeat. Every negative feeling you experience comes with a choice. When doubt appears, you can choose to let it paralyze you, or you can choose to see it as a challenge to strengthen your belief. When fear shows up, you can choose to hide behind it, or you can choose to use it as fuel to sharpen your focus and elevate your courage. When anger rises, you can choose to lash out destructively, or you can channel that intensity into productive action. The emotions themselves do not dictate your destiny. It is your response, your choice, that determines the outcome. This is the power so many people miss. They think feelings are stronger than decisions, when in truth decisions are the only thing that give feelings direction. Choice is destiny because each choice plants a seed in the soil of your future. Choose faith today, and you plant the seed of possibility. Choose persistence today, and you plant the seed of resilience. Choose excuses, and you plant the seed of regret. The harvest you reap tomorrow will always come from the seeds you plant today. That is why people who achieve great things are not necessarily the smartest or the luckiest, but they are the ones who consistently choose the path of growth over the path of comfort. They understand that every moment holds power, and they refuse to give that power away by blaming circumstances or waiting for luck. Look at the patterns of your own life. Where you stand today is the result of thousands of choices stacked one on top of the other. Some choices lifted you higher, others held you back. But here is the truth: you are never locked into your past choices. At any moment, you can decide differently and change the entire trajectory of your life. A single choice can redirect decades. A single decision to believe instead of doubt, to act instead of procrastinate, to forgive instead of resent, can alter not just your own life, but the lives of everyone connected to you. The magnitude of this is enormous when you truly grasp it. The tragedy is that many people surrender their power of choice without even realizing it. They let circumstances decide for them. They let fear dictate their direction. They let other people's opinions shape their future. They say things like, "I had no choice," and not realizing that even inaction is a choice. Every excuse, every hesitation, every delay is still a decision being made. And every time you give away your power to choose consciously, you are handing your destiny over to chance. That is why awareness is crucial. You must begin to recognize that the steering wheel of your life has always been in your hands. Think about the giants of history who changed the course of nations, industries, and human understanding. None of them were handed an easy path. All of them faced obstacles, ridicule, and resistance, but they made choices that others would not. They chose to keep going when everyone else gave up. They chose to believe in possibilities others dismissed. They chose to see failure not as the end but as feedback. They chose growth over fear, vision over doubt, persistence over surrender. And those choices created destinies so powerful that their influence is still felt long after their time. You have that same ability within you. Every day you are standing at the crossroads of destiny, even in the simplest of moments. The choice to read instead of scrolling aimlessly, the choice to practice instead of procrastinate, the choice to speak with courage instead of staying silent, the choice to forgive instead of carrying resentment. All of these small decisions add up. Over time, they build momentum, and momentum builds destiny. If you want to see change in your life, you do not need to wait for permission or for a perfect moment. You only need to start choosing differently right now. The destiny you dream of is not waiting for you in some distant future. It is hidden in the choices you make today. You cannot control every event that happens to you, but you can always control how you respond, and in that response lies your power. Choice is not just an option. It is the very architect of your future. Belief is the foundation upon which every reality is built, yet most people underestimate just how much their inner convictions shape the outer world they live in. Every invention, every achievement, every transformation that humanity has witnessed began first as a belief in the mind of an individual. Before the airplane soared in the sky, someone believed it was possible to defy gravity. Before great companies rose to global influence, someone believed in a vision others dismissed as foolish. Before a person escapes poverty, illness, or despair, they must first believe that they can. Belief is the seed, reality is the harvest, and what you hold in your mind with certainty will eventually show itself in your life. Your thoughts are not harmless whispers in your head. They are instructions to your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind shapes the actions you take, the opportunities you notice, and the energy you project into the world. When you believe in failure, you unconsciously act in ways that bring failure closer. When you believe in success, you begin to notice openings, solutions, and resources that were invisible before. Two people can walk into the same room and see completely different realities because their beliefs filter what they perceive. One sees limitation everywhere, while the other sees opportunity everywhere. One walks away discouraged, while the other walks away inspired. The difference is not the room, not the situation, but the lens of belief through which they view it. Most people live trapped by beliefs they never consciously chose. They inherited them from parents, teachers, culture, and past experiences, and without realizing it, they repeat those beliefs until they become self-fulfilling prophecies. If you were told often enough that you are not smart enough, you start to believe it, and that belief dictates your behavior. You stop trying, stop learning, stop stretching yourself, and soon you gather enough evidence to confirm the very belief that is holding you down. The mind does not argue with what you believe. It simply goes to work proving you right. This is why changing your belief is the single most powerful step you can take toward changing your destiny. Belief has a way of bending reality around it. When you hold an unwavering conviction, you radiate energy that others feel. People are drawn to certainty, and when you truly believe, you influence not only your own actions, but also the way others respond to you. Opportunities flow more easily to the person who believes in their worth. Support shows up more readily for the person who believes in their vision. Even resistance bends over time when faced with a belief so strong it cannot be shaken. This is not magic. It is simply the way the mind and energy interact with the world. Belief sharpens your focus, heightens your resilience, and multiplies your persistence. When you believe deeply, you do not quit at the first obstacle because your conviction will not let you. The challenge is that belief works both ways. If you believe you are destined to struggle, you will unconsciously sabotage your progress until struggle becomes your reality. If you believe that opportunities are scarce, you will overlook the ones right in front of you. If you believe people cannot be trusted, you will interpret every action as betrayal. Your beliefs act like invisible architects, designing the walls, doors, and limitations of your life. To live differently, you must believe differently. You cannot step into abundance while clinging to scarcity beliefs. You cannot step into confidence while carrying beliefs of unworthiness. You cannot create freedom while believing you are trapped. The mind will always deliver evidence that matches your belief. If you decide that you can succeed, you will start seeing ways to succeed. If you decide you cannot, you will see nothing but barriers. It is not the external world changing, it is the internal filter shifting. This is why people who once seemed hopeless can completely transform their lives once they adopt a new belief. The world did not suddenly become easier, but their lens changed, and with it their actions, decisions, and results changed. Belief is not built overnight, but it is built through repetition. Every time you affirm a new thought, visualize a new possibility, and act as though it were true, you reinforce that belief. Eventually, it becomes so ingrained that it operates automatically, guiding you toward the future you desire. The same way negative beliefs once limited you without your awareness, positive beliefs can now expand you beyond your imagination. The question is not whether you believe it, is what you choose to believe. History is full of examples of individuals who achieved the impossible simply because they refused to let disbelief rule them. They encountered doubt from others, rejection from institutions, and ridicule from society, but they held their inner conviction so firmly that reality had no choice but to bend to it. They prove that belief is stronger than circumstance, stronger than opposition, stronger than temporary failure. If you want to create a future that others doubt, you must first believe in it when no one else does. If you want to overcome the grip of negative feelings, belief is the torch that lights the way out of darkness. You are always living in the world your beliefs have created. Look around and you will see the reflection of what you hold to be true about yourself and about life. If you want to see more, do more, and become more, then it begins with believing more. When you change your beliefs, you shift the filter through which you see the world. And when the filter shifts, your entire reality rearranges itself to match the new vision you have chosen to hold.